guys, and welcome to another weekly wrap-up. This time I'm in pajamas and have just showered. Clean Michaela. Isn't that awesome? Let's go.
Hey there guys, so on Monday I did, of course, a From the Notebook video wherein I talked about my top 5 least favorite tropes in YA. So, you know, it's me trying not to get all ranty, but getting ranty. So you should see those top 5 and talk to me about them.
On Monday, I had my April wrap-up. I talked about the books I read in April and how I'm doing with my reading challenges. Really great at the Goodreads challenge. Not so great at the Read Your Own Damn Books challenge, but to know the specifics, you're gonna have to go check out that post.
This week, for our Betwixt the Books content on Tuesday, we both did our own 30 Seconds to Disagree videos, wherein we usually pick one book and try and convince the other person to read it, and they tell us why they don't want to read it, and then we convince them anyways. And so for my pick, I told Michaela that she should read The Vanishing Throne by Elizabeth May, which is a sequel to The Falconer, which Bibliomancy for Beginners did a little while ago, and Taylor and Michaela both hated. So you should check that out, not only because it's funny, but also because, you know, The Vanishing Throne hasn't actually come out yet, and so I have secret knowledge.
The reason Gretchen said usually in that last bit is because I actually had 2 picks for my 30 Seconds to Disagree video. This came about because I was originally going to have her pick which book I talked about by vaguely explaining each of them, and then I realized that they had the same elements and I picked them for the same reason, so why not just talk about them both? I talked about Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, as well as Everybody Sees the Ants by A.S. King. I picked them because I think that those are both books that would appeal to both genders that she could read with her brother. They have magical realism elements and have male protagonists. So, if you want to hear some of the other things I said about those books and why I think Gretchen should read them, go watch that video.
On Wednesday, I came out with a Worth It Wednesday on A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, which, not surprising to you because, hello, I love Sarah J. Maas, was in honor of the fact that A Court of Mist and Fury had just come out, and I've already read that book like 3 times, guys. I really love this series, but anyways, I'll talk about that later.
Similar to my Monday post, my Wednesday post was also a wrap-up, but this one was a wrap-up of all of the comics I bought in April. So I talk about the volumes and single issues that I pulled and what I thought of each of them and whether or not I'm continuing with them, and I liked all of them because I don't buy things I'm not going to like for the most part, and I'll talk about one of the things in that pull video later, but if you want to know all of the comics I bought, you should go watch that video.
On Thursday, I had a Thesis Thursday post about the fact that my 3rd and final chapter is complete, thereby completing the full 75-ish page first draft of my thesis, and it got kind of depressing because my 3rd chapter made me kind of angry, and I'm going to talk more about that next Monday. But, so yeah, it's like this weirdly celebratory but also really depressing post about how I love YA, but I hate YA, and everything is frustrating. So if you want to know more about that, you should read that post and stay tuned for my Monday video.
On Friday, I had a review of The Vegetarian by Hong Kong. I'm not sure which last name she has. I think it's Kang. I used that as an example of how to read translated texts and review translated texts because next Friday's video, spoiler alert, is going to be me talking about what I think you need to talk about when you do a review of a translated text, because I'm trying to do a series about translated works, and you see how this is going. You see. In any case, that's what I did. I talked about it. It's good. I understand why it was picked for the Man Booker International Prize, but you will need to go to that video to hear my thoughts on how that whole thing went for me.
On Friday, I also had a video review of The Rose and the Dagger by Renee Adia. This is the sequel to The Wrath and the Dawn, which was one of my favorite books of 2015. Unfortunately, while The Wrath and the Dawn may have been that, The Rose and the Dagger is thus far one of my top disappointed books of 2016, and that review is me trying to articulate that while being very, very sad about how this whole thing went down, because I love The Wrath and the Dawn, and The Rose and the Dagger was not that. So yeah, watch that video.
On Saturday, I had a new episode of Flicks. Rather than talking about a brand new movie, or a brand new book for that matter, I read The Time Traveler's Wife while I was on vacation in April, and I then watched the movie this week and decided I was going to compare and contrast the two. Spoiler alert, sad book, sad movie. Sad. Everything is sad. It's sad.
Welcome to the portion of the video where we talk about the books that we read, and usually also the portion of the video where I go, I'm sad and I haven't read like anything. However, there is a huge stack of books in my lap that I'm super excited about. So the first one was finishing off the text for my Spiritual Journeys religion class. We read Faithiest by Chris Stedman. The subtitle of this is How an Atheist Found Common Ground with the Religious. And this is probably one of the only texts that we read in this class that directly addresses how interreligious dialogue works and where the atheist or non-theist voice is in that discussion, because it definitely should be included in that discussion. And I did really enjoy this book. It got a little bit preachy at times, pun intended, but if that is something that you're interested in, especially if you don't particularly believe in God but believe in conversations about religion, definitely check this out. Chris is a really smart, intelligent, funny guy, and it's a really quick read, and really, really, really intelligent. I also read for that class The Art of Stillness by Pico Iyer. The subtitle of this is Adventures in Going Nowhere. This is also one of my Pop Sugar books for books under 150 pages. It's only actually like 68 pages, with lots of pretty pictures of sunsets. But it's basically about how we are so busy in this day and age going somewhere, and maybe we should go nowhere at all. And reading it really was like meditation. And I read it in one sitting. It was really good. Don't die.
Here's like a thing in my throat. Okay.
Good? So you probably won't see reviews of either of those two books on my blog just because, you know, life. This isn't really a book. It's more like a talk. It's a TED original book. So, yeah. But also good. Not life-changing, but good. Because this video is pre-recorded, I am saying that this is the week that I will finally frickin' finish A Tale for the Time Being by Ruth Ozeki, which I am supposed to have had read for this channel like a million years ago. I just didn't have time when Michaela was doing the buddy read with some fellow YouTubers, and I have just had to make the time now. A Tale for the Time Being. There's a pun in there somewhere I'm not going to make. Though I have not quite finished this yet, I will finish it very soon, and I can say that I am enjoying this a lot more than I thought that I was going to. And I'm really engaged by it, and you'll hear more about that from Michaela and I very soon, but yeah, I really like this one. And finally, the last book that I've read this week, and like we're talking, I've probably reread it 2 or 3 times now, depending on how you count rereading, is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. And I'm laughing because a little early to film this video, Michaela had to convince me to put it down. Again, I don't have time for the amount that I've been rereading it, but guys, I was so worried, especially after The Rose and the Dagger, that this book was not going to be good, because trying to retell Beauty and the Beast is kind of trippy because, I mean, Stockholm Syndrome. How do you make that romantic? How do you make that a strong female character? But Sarah's done it! I'm gonna try and keep it in because I'm gonna be reviewing this next week, but guys, I'm so happy.
Gretchen read so much. I didn't read quite as much, but I did read some stuff. The first thing I finished was the 3rd volume of East and West, and if you've been following this channel, you know that I have been reading this and that I love it so much. I can't believe it took me so long to go between the 1st volume and the 2nd volume, because I, like, literally the next week after reading the 2nd volume, I grabbed the 3rd volume and have read it. So, this is really friggin' great, guys, and if you haven't picked it up, definitely do, and go watch the review I did of the 2nd volume and why I think it's important to push through that 1st volume, because I know it's a bit confusing at the beginning. The next thing I read I actually listened to on audio, and that was Bossy Pants by Tina Fey. I'm debating doing a review of this one because I have some thoughts on the perceived expectation of this book and which parts I actually enjoyed and which part I think most people would want to hear more from, and how that conflicts in a way, and how I think it conflicts for Tina Fey as well. So I might do that, I might not. You might not hear anything more than that on the topic. We shall see. It all depends on what I have time for. The last thing that I read, unfortunately you can't see the beautiful cover of because of a great Comcat sticker from Oak Bluffs. This is Death Vigil, which is the next Imbibliomancy pick. It's Taylor's pick. It's the last one of this semester. The last one of Taylor and Gretchen's undergraduate life forever. And it's a graphic novel, so it was super quick, which was great, especially for them because they are doing finals right now. So, graphic novel. That live stream has not happened yet. If you are seeing it on the blog, then it will be tonight. If you are seeing it on the YouTube channel on Saturday, then it will be Sunday night, or maybe pushed farther, but that's happening in the very near future.
That's all we have for you guys this week, except for I'm going to make one more plug to remember to enter that Fingerprints of You giveaway that I'm running on my blog right now. There's swag. There's a signed book. Go forth. Do the thing. Otherwise, yes, if you are seeing this in advance of the live stream that we were doing on Death Vigil, please come and join us. There's going to be alcohol, graphic novels, Taylor and I in the same space so we could potentially punch each other. Who knows? I always threaten to do it. I haven't yet, but as Michaela said, this is a touchstone episode, so maybe I'll finally do it. Maybe. Anyways, we will see you all either then or next week. Thanks, guys!